when somebody is confrontational and they are met with super welcoming, genuine curiosity, wanting to understand them better, to help them, and all this kind of stuff, they totally change the way that they interact with you. And so that's pretty magical. And that's kind of
Mhm.
like a life hack in general. Like if you just go through life assuming that people, whatever it is they're doing, if you're assuming benevolence, then your entire life experience changes basically.
This is the online trainer show, trainer show, trainer show. This is the online trainer show. We shouldn't have a podcast.
I just want to thank everybody for coming back, listening to the podcast. If you're new here, then where the hell have you been?
It's not too
But
late, by the
if you're
way.
here again for another episode, that's right. If you're here for another episode, I really wanted to welcome you back. We're excited to be recording another episode today, and today is a particularly exciting episode. So we got a review a couple days ago, and I mean, I don't know how many reviews we get. I don't read them, but leave your reviews, everybody. They're very important to us. But every once in a while, Amber shares a review that we get on some platform somewhere. I don't even know where to even listen to podcasts. I know so little about how all of this works. It's actually funny. I show up at 1:15 p.m. on Tuesday and Thursday, and I talk for give or take 30 to 45 minutes about something, and then I go about the rest of my day, and somehow magically this appears on the internet in like 50 different places. There are so many different places you can listen to this, and I have no idea where they are.
He doesn't know what those places are, though.
I have no idea what they are. And so somebody left us a review on one of those places. I don't know who it is, but Amber shared it. And the review was 5 stars. It was a glowing 5-star review that the person loves the podcast. Their only comment, get this one, this is going to hit you and me below the belt. Their only comment is that we need to let the women speak more and interrupt them less.
I feel attacked. I feel personally attacked by this review.
I
I
am
mean,
I'll honor it,
floating
though.
right now. This is my moment. I have waited for this all season.
Kettle's enamored. She's thrilled with this news.
so
Yeah, what you don't
today,
know
to
is I
celebrate
I
that
wrote the
comment,
review. I went in and I wrote the review myself. I'm like, stop interrupting here.
amazing. If you
I'm
did do
kidding.
that, and I'm not going to check because I'm just not going to check.
No.
But if that was you, if the review is like Carolina needs to speak more, and the review is from Jedi Mayor,
And give her a raise.
giveaways.
I'm just picturing the mayor up late at night in his Barry bathrobe. He's got Barry across the back, and he's just typing frantically on the keyboard. Uh,
There's basically zero chance that he doesn't have a monogram bathrobe.
There's zero chance. There's no chance that there's not a monogrammed Barry Ontario bathrobe hanging somewhere in the mayor's closet. And I wouldn't respect him if he didn't have one. Quite honestly,
That's true.
I have more respect for him than he does.
And
That's
now,
hilarious.
Carolina, you need a Miss Mayor monogram berry bathrobe.
Oh my god.
Absolutely.
I mean, send it my
I
way.
think
I know
I
you guys
think
brought me some
your Christmas gift has been decided.
gifts.
Yep, might happen. So anyway, so we got this review in today, or whenever we got it in. I don't know when we got it in. Amber showed me this review today or yesterday or something. This is how much I know about what's going on. Amber showed me this review at some point in the not so distant past, and I decided that today's episode, Amber is going to be the star. So instead of me delivering, like usually it's like, if you actually look at our document of like how these episodes go, we obviously start with Ren's nonsense and then a little bit of banter back and forth. And then somebody introduces the topic, like Ren kind of transitions to the topic. And then I usually take over, right? Like I'll take over and speak about the topic and go in deep, and then we'll have a little bit of back and forth. And Ren will ask Carolina's opinion on it, and Amber will come in and usually say the smartest thing that anybody says in the entire episode, but she'll
Pretty
be
much.
super embarrassed about it. And then and then we'll finish, and then I'll usually trail off for a really long time and just waste another couple minutes of your life before we end the episode. That's kind of a MO, right? That's kind of what we do.
It's the formula.
Yeah. So today Amber is going to deliver the goods.
I
I'm
am
ready.
very
I'm ready.
excited. I am
What?
ridiculously excited for this because she's already like rolling her eyes, like, no, don't make me do it.
She's had enough already. She's already fed up with today's episode. She hadn't even got started. So um, I'm excited about. So what's our actual? What I'm sorry, Amber. I'll almost
There you
talk to
go.
Jonathan here. Amber, what's our actual topic today?
We're talking about dealing with negative clients.
Oh, negative client. Okay, this is awesome. So Amber and I are here with it's election day here in the United States. You know, you're past the point as you're listening to this. So it's November 3rd, the presidential election here in the states. The the tension is palpable here from coast to coast, from sea to shining sea, amber waves of grain and all that stuff, purple mountains and the majesty, whatever. Uh, Amber and I are here with our emotional support Canadians, Jonathan Goodman and Catalina Belmontes.
I
Uh,
feel like a lot of Americans are going to need emotional support Canadians in the coming weeks.
we are, you know, and I've got a list, so I feel very comforted because I've got a list of emotional support Canadians. So I just want to take the temperature. I just want to take the pulse of Canada really quickly before Amber gets started by deferring to our in the field correspondent who always has her finger on the pulse of civic and international events. Obviously, award winning quotations like "You never know when you might have to take a booty pick." So who else to ask about the U.S. presidential election and the tensions, and if they're spilling over into Canada, than Catalina Belmartes. Catalina, what's the level of interest on the other side of the border? I'm interested to hear your take on it quickly.
I feel
Anything
like
to
we're
share
all,
there?
yeah, I feel like we're all watching this like this, like like kind of like covering our eyes, but kind of like trying
Scary
to
movie
keep
style,
yes, totally scary movie style, and
peeking through the fingers.
it's terrifying on your behalf. Like that's all I can say. We're terrified for you.
Well, thank you. Comforting as you always are, Carolina. Thank you
You
so
are
much for that.
welcome. You're
I feel
welcome.
much better having heard your answer to that question.
I
Uh,
actually have a much more optimistic view. I'm not terrified by watching. I think that, no matter what happens, whatever the results are, I guess by the time this episode goes live, we'll know what the results are. Now,
yeah,
they might be still in the Supreme Court, but
Yeah.
but I mean, by the time that this goes out, we'll know what the results are. But regardless, I think
Absolutely.
there's going to be obviously be some tension, but I feel like there's actually going to be a lot of ease
Oh,
after
we'll be
this.
okay.
I mean,
Either way, like
Americans are good people,
it's
Hmm.
like they've
Yes.
kind of been thrown for a bit of a loop
well, it's a
lately.
bit of hyperbole this year. You know, so social media and politics sort of raise the hype level past what is actual reality. I think we can all agree to that. It'll be fine. Like you're gonna have some good days and some bad days, no matter what the election results are. You know, if you're diligent about your work, if you're good to people, you have great relationships, your business is going to do well. You know, so I mean, it's something to watch. If you did your civic duty and voted, you can feel good about lending your voice, and whatever happens, just move past it. Go to the next day. Do some awesome stuff. Speaking of awesome stuff,
I think that's the piece of advice that needs to be
yeah,
like a take home piece of
yeah,
advice.
just
Like
move
move like
past it.
do some awesome stuff. You
Yeah,
got
do some awesome stuff.
yeah.
Amber's got some incredibly awesome stuff for us here today. She's got a shirt fit for today's podcast. I think it says "Girls rule the what? The planet, the game, the country, the galaxy." All right, there we go. So,
Galaxy.
"Girls rule the galaxy." She's going to prove that out here today. We're excited about it. You know what's interesting, Jonathan? If this will be my last interjection, I noticed that all the reviews that we've had that have been sort of reprimanding us for the underrepresentation of the women on our show, they never know the names of the women on the show. Like, so always let the girls talk about the female. Carolina was
The
the
female.
female. Yeah,
That was
I
my
think
favorite one.
Jonathan Wren and the female need to blah blah blah. This one was like, yeah, I think let the girls talk, whatever their names are. I don't pay a lot of attention to them, but let them talk. So Amber, I'm excited for you and Catalina to put actual names to your binary gender association today, so people can stop referring to as pronouns from here to four when they complain about our lack of interest in the women on the show, by proving out that they also share a lack of interest by never knowing your names when they comment about the fact that we don't allow you to talk enough. So Amber, you're going to put your name on the board today. It's going to be epic. Epic. Yeah, Amber's super excited, guys.
Luckily,
She just,
Carolina and I have different hair colors because apparently when you're blonde, we all look alike. We learned that in the coaches group,
we
that
had a
all of the blondes look alike and they can't tell us
we had a
apart.
we had an OTA student that said, the blondes help. One of the blondes helped me. I don't know who it was. They looked the same. That was from a OTA student. Yeah. You're going to get a very hard exam, by the way, soon. Amber's cooked up a special exam for you to graduate the OTA process. So get ready
We'll
for
be able
that.
to name us all
Okay,
appropriately.
so question 27 on the OT exam for you is: there's one train leaving the station at 6 p.m. going
Right.
40 kilometers an hour. Now there's a train leaving the other station at 8 p.m. going 57 kilometers an hour. Solve for X.
Question courtesy of Kay and Amber.
That's your question from the blondes.
Right, from the blondes. Which is horrific. We got to get a hold of that person. So Amber, we're talking about important things on a topic that I've already forgotten. Take us into this. Was it harass? Oh, difficult clients. Was it a negative
Yeah.
experience? Is that what it
Negative
was?
clients. Negative
Negative.
clients. Yeah.
Oh, I like this topic. So open up this negative topic for us, and not negative topic, but the topic of negative clients for us, Amber, and Catalina. Feel free to chime in. I'll let you guys ping pong back and forth here. I'm just gonna stay out of this and obsess over the U.S. election. Um, so Amber, what you got, my friend?
So I think it's interesting that, when we first start online training, something that, we're really excited about is being able to help a bunch of people. But something that we don't anticipate sometimes is having to deal with clients when they're not at their best and when they're negative. And having to deal with that can be really draining. Like sometimes it can be hard enough doing our job because being online can be isolating. But then occasionally when you get a client that is, really negative for whatever reason, it can be even more draining. And figuring out how to help them, but also not let it affect you, can be a challenge. So that's kind of the theme for today.
Catalina, you chime in here. I'm stepping out. Like you have to stay awake today. She's
I
just
think
laughing
it's
herself
important.
silly.
No, I think it's important that we remember that, our clients are humans just as we are. And it is really tricky not to
Mhm.
get caught up in their emotions or their funk or their whatever. I had a situation once with a client who, it was a little bit more complicated because in her case, like she would legitimately like rage. Like if something at her job didn't go the way that she wanted, she was one of those like take it out with everyone in the rest of your day kind of person. And so there was a lot of kind of like for me figuring out how to deal with that, and also placing boundaries, right? Because I'm like, you know what, sometimes it's
Mhm.
probably best that we limit communication when you're feeling a certain way, because I'm not, we're not punching bags either. So there's a very fine line between being a very empathetic and compassionate human being and becoming the punching bag for somebody who's just having a crappy day, right? Like, so it's like it's a balance, and I think the best way to find that balance is by staying super true to what feels correct to you. Like the moment that you legitimately start feeling disrespected, disregarded, walked over, like when you start harvesting like really negative feelings in you, like that's totally like a moment to pause and reflect and see how and if you can continue, that relationship, or how you can handle it in the future.
So sort of like when Jonathan talks over you on the podcast episodes, something
Totally.
something in that vein,
Totally.
pretty much, pretty much like that. So, let's quickly turn this into a Jonathan Goodman bashing session. By the way, this is
Love
the
it.
only opportunity we're going to get probably.
I'm here for that.
So Amber, take us through your lesson here. Like, do you have some points for us, some tips, I thought you might. You're always so clever,
How to be
Amber.
prepared.
All right.
Yeah, so I think it's
This will
important to
be new for the
remember.
podcast.
I think it's
Somebody's
important to
prepared.
remember that negativity serves a purpose to a certain extent.
Hmm.
It can help inform us and helps us be introspective. Am I doing a good job? And you have to kind of play the fact or thought game. Like, can I justify that? Yes, I'm actually not doing great, or is this just a feeling that I'm having and I'm just in a weird space? So it can be helpful to a certain extent, but it can certainly cross a line easily when it starts to negatively affect us constantly. With clients, we tend to see 7 different types of negativity, and I am sure all of these sound super common for everybody. My all-time favorite is all or nothing.
Hmm.
If if I didn't do it perfectly today, F the rest of the week. I'm done, you know, maybe next year. Um, and then you have like filtering, where you try to give a client a compliment. Hey, like, great job, you checked in X amount of times this week. Next week let's shoot for a little bit higher. All they hear is let's shoot for a little bit higher, and I didn't do well enough. So they missed the positive part and then focused in on what they perceive as the negative part. Then we have overgeneralizations, which the client just extrapolates from a single piece of disappointment. Like, if they can't do a pull up, and then they just say, I'm just not good at anything. Like, if I can't do this one thing, then I suck at everything else.
Right.
And then mental reading, where they imagine, like, oh, I did this thing, and they try to guess what you're thinking. They think I suck, or they don't think I'm capable of doing anything, or whatever. But where they're trying to guess what you're saying, and it's always negative. Then we have where they turn everything into a catastrophe. So, for example, if they had a piece of cake at a birthday party and they're like, oh, well, everything is blown. Like, I've just messed everything up. So they take this small mistake and just make a mountain out of a molehill. Uh, this next one I am guilty of, emotional reasoning, where if they're feeling, tired, super stressed, and just kind of blah, they'll use that as a reason to act a certain way. So whether that's overeating or deciding to sit on the couch and just not move at all. And then we have things like shoulds. So I should be capable of doing X. I should be doing Y. I won't speak for the guys, but Carolina and I know extremely well, like, I should look a certain way. I should be able to fit into X size pants or whatever. And then the last one, I think, 1, 2.
I think you're
Yeah,
6.
I think that's 6. Yeah. And then there's personalization. So let's say you're having a foggy day. You had a long night, stayed up late studying for the OTA, and then you get distracted. Your brain's just not in it. And then it has nothing to do with the client, but the client imagines that it does. So, like, you as the trainer, if you aren't quite there, like if you're doing a coaching call and you don't quite seem fully there, the client will take it personally, even though it has nothing to do with them. You stayed up late, studying for the OTA, but they imagine that you not being fully present or there, it has something to do with them. So they take it personally. So those are typically what we see most often with clients. And we get questions about this all the time via email for the coach's email and in our students and grads group. It's like, how do we deal with those situations?
Hmm. What's the play here? Like, first of all, what is there any one of them that you run into more than any others in your coaching? Is there one that's more prevalent for you?
All or nothing from me, 100% is the most popular reason.
I was going to say the same. What about you, Keto? Is any one of those that?
Yeah, for me, I think there should. It's like I should, especially for example, because
Mm,
I work with women who are like 40 and older. A lot of the
mm,
times they find that when they start hitting like perimenopause and menopause, for example, the way that they can that their body responds to alcohol is super bad now. Like
mhm,
that has changed in them. but they still feel like I should be able to have like a glass of wine and not feel like crap for the next following 3 days or whatever. So there's a lot of shoulds that are based on what used to be true, but those things that are true about
Mhm.
us are always changing because our bodies and our lives and our context is always changing. So the should is a big one. Yeah.
Yeah, I get should and all or nothing. So I have a tendency to attract a lot of type A personalities, go getter
Hmm.
ladies, and my population is 30 and up. So I'm also coaching through the perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause stage when what they used to do that worked is disastrous now in the terms of their coaching. And it's ironic that 3 out of the 4 of us really sort of concentrate on women, and I want to paint a broader picture here. So, Jonathan, I know you've worked across populations for most of your career because you did a lot of in person. Were there any particular ones that resonate with you here in terms of sort of working across genders and sexes and all of that stuff?
I had a lot of I had a lot of times. I mean, women and men. I mean, not just women. Certainly, I actually don't know what my breakdown of clientele was back in the day. Definitely more men than women.
Hmm.
A lot of. I mean, I had a mix. I had
Yeah.
like young athletes like getting ready for the draft. A few Olympians or hopefuls, like musicians,
So,
actors. But then I also had like grandmothers, right?
right. Right.
And then like doctors, CEO, professional, whatever. So I had all across the board. Trying to think back to some of the biggest ones. Definitely one of the biggest one. I mean, the all or nothing was always huge. I feel like personal trainers often attract kind of alpha types,
Right.
A type people, male and female. And it's this idea of, I'm going to do this now. Okay, I'm going to do it. Okay, I'm going to go for it. I mean, this
Right.
one of my favorite articles that anybody's ever written was an article by PN, the pause button mentality. I
Yes.
think Brody wrote it, but it's on this idea of like this pause button mentality. Like, hey, if you have to stop or if there's a break, like a little bit is better than nothing. And I mean, don't think that you have to stop because you can't do it all at one point. It's one of those things that makes for a really great article, and it's like arguably the most important concept
Right.
in long-term health and sustainable health and fitness. But holy crap, it's hard to communicate that to our clients because
Mhm.
our clients are often A types. I
Right.
mean, like
Hmm.
me, it's hard for me, man. When I training, like if I get up early to train, I'm getting up at whatever it is, 5:45, and going over to my sister's and training now. The gyms are still closed. It's like I don't want to just like move a little bit. If I'm waking myself up before my family and driving, it snowed the other day. I drove in the snow. Like in driving in the snow before it gets light out and getting home and taking a shower while my family is like still sleeping. Yo, I want some biceps. You know? This podcast is made possible by viewers like you, except you're not viewers, you're listeners. Um, okay, well, I guess a word from our sponsors. If you're a fitness nutrition coach that's looking to master online coaching so that you can help more people, make more money, and have more freedom, then the Online Trainer Academy can help. OTA gives you the framework, knowledge, and support to have predictable success with your online coaching business. From marketing to business development to how to assess and motivate your clients online, it is constantly updated and refreshed to keep up with a dynamic market. Not only that, OTA is proven. In 7 years, we've helped over 30,000 coaches in 87 countries go online. Truth is, we know what works, so you can get right to the success part. And in case you're busy working a full-time job or you're a full-time parent, know that you can go at your own pace. There's no deadlines to complete OTA and you have lifetime access. That said, if you are ready to make a rapid change and finish the course in the next 8 to 12 weeks, you can expect to invest 3 to 5 hours each week on the program. And here's the best part. If you join today, you will make an extra $1,000 a month in 90 days, or I'll give you your money back. So if you're ready to build the fitness business you want and make the money you deserve, go to onlinetrainer.com/academy to enroll today. And I hope to see you in there. Are you still trying to pick your online training software? If so, let me make this easy for you. Go with PT Distinction. It's truly the best, and I'm not just saying that because they're our sponsor. We actually use PT Distinction for our own online fitness business, online trainer coaching, and we're really happy with it. From onboarding to programming to client communication, PT Distinction has everything you need to run your online fitness business smoothly, and it's super simple to use. Now, normally they offer a free 30-day trial, but as a listener of the Online Trainer Show, you get a free 60-day trial, so you can make sure you love them before spending a dime. If you want to deliver first-class service to your clients while reclaiming your time, then visit onlinetrainer.com/PTD to sign up for your free 60-day trial today.
We need shirts that say like,
I'm
I
not going to
went to
do
the
that.
gym. We need shirts that say like, I went to the gym and all I got are these lousy biceps or something. But then
Or
you're
these
jacked. You're
biceps.
actually
That's
jacked.
it.
You're not lousy. You look good.
So
Yeah, hey,
you're not. So you're saying you're not getting up at 5 a.m. for a moral victory.
I'm not getting
I
up
got
at
it.
5 a.m. and
Some
doing like,
exercise.
Exactly.
I'm going to do some air squats and hamstring stretches, and then I'm going to walk through on my day and people will be like, oh, did you do those hamstring stretches this morning? I'm like, I did. Thanks for noticing. So I commiserate with it, right? I get it. Like, I'm finally now at that point where as a like 21, 22, 23-year-old personal trainer, getting to my professional clients at 6:30 in the morning, like, what do you mean this is the only time that you have to work out? I got like 6 hours today. Right? Like, I get that. Like, that's my life now. If I want to work out, that's the time that I have to work out. And so it takes some time, I think, and it takes also getting to a certain level of fitness where you're proud of the way that you look and you're happy with the way that you feel in order to be okay with just doing something.
Right.
And I don't know
So
the right way to communicate that to somebody. Like, that's hard because a lot of people who really just need to move and do something, maybe the solution, this is something that I always did with particularly younger dudes when they come into the gym. You kind of give them what they want, but actually provide them what they need. It's this idea of like, I'm gonna train you the way that I want to train you, the way that I think you really need for the first 45 minutes, and then we're just gonna do like an arm pump for the last 50. Right? Like it's not gonna make a lick of difference to your physique, to your health or fitness, but like we're just gonna pump your biceps for like the last 10 minutes. And for the first 50 minutes, you're gonna do whatever strength, mobility, power that you need to do. I wonder if there's almost a need for that. It's almost like mental trickery with training for that type of client.
Jedi coaching. So Amber, back to you. This first of all, it's a great list. So where does the topic go from here? Like where so we got the list right. We know what the things are. Is there more here? Is there more to dive into in terms of how to work with that perceived negative client? Because they may not really be negative, but where do you take it from that point?
Yeah, there's a reason for it, right? And I think a lot of us have a tendency to want to be like, no, like it's fine, and like be a cheerleader, which often can have like a negative effect on the negativity, like it compounds it. So I think it's really important to remember that it's just data. Like their negativity is just information for you to use to help coach them better. And so your job is to figure out what's the source of the negativity, right? So like we all have a client that's just like, oh, I'll never lose, these last 10 pounds. Like obviously that's not true, but what does that mean to them? So that means, are they tired? Are they experiencing like just too many things going on and they feel overwhelmed? Like what's the source of that statement? Because I wouldn't take it at face value. There's a deeper reason for it. So you want to kind of dig in a little bit and see what the source of that negativity is. And then that's where your motivational interviewing skills, come into play. So if you haven't already, definitely make sure that you read motivational interviewing. That's going to give you the tools that you really need. And we cover that in the OTA as well. But just asking questions and trying to dig further into what that negativity is coming from. And then you want to look at, how is it affecting them? Is it affecting their performance? Is it affecting others around them? And that may determine whether you need to address it at all. Like if it's just an off day, sometimes you just have to let it be versus if it seems to be a chronic issue. And then something interesting that can happen too is like, how does it trigger us? Can you emotionally stay out of their negativity and look at it from an objective stance versus letting it cause a reaction in you? So you do have to kind of watch that because it can easily, trigger us to react a certain way as well. And then, how do you kind of respond to it? That again, coming back into, your coaching shoes, it's listening effectively. And often you'll want to restate what you're hearing them say. So if they say, I'm just never going to lose those last 10 pounds, you might say something like, what I hear you saying is that you're feeling frustrated, that you're not making progress, and then shut up. And then when you let that pause happen, they're going to talk and they're going to dig deeper into what they're saying. And that's usually kind of where the magic happens, is when we actually shut up. And
Now,
then
were you
from
talking
there,
directly to Jonathan there, or is we still on topic here? I'm just checking in.
How appropriate. How
He's
very
gone. He's gone
appropriate.
blurry. He's gone blurry. Um, I had to do it. I had to do it. But so you were saying listening is where usually the change that's where the fruit is on this tree. Um,
yeah, our job isn't to dictate, right? So it isn't to solve their every problem. They know themselves better than anyone else, and they have the answer. Our job is to ask the right questions to help them navigate their own emotions. Most of the time, they'll realize that they're getting into a negative space, and often after you talk to them, they'll even apologize or like, I'm overreacting, or I'm just having an off day, and that can kind of take their foot off the gas of the negativity drain, and things get a little bit better. So for the most part, if you're dealing with a negative client, determine whether, is it worth addressing right now? If it's a chronic issue, yes. If it's just a random day and, maybe they just need to train harder that day to kind of get out some of that angst that they're kind of feeling. Or it might be that you need to have a discussion and just ask the right questions to help them process it, because sometimes they'll process it in a way of just kind of from a top level, and they're just like, oh, I'm really frustrated. But once you actually make them start thinking about it, they can work through that mindset on their own without us having to do much other than ask the right questions and listen.
so Keto, have you had to deal with this? Obviously we've all dealt with it, but I know that you're particularly skilled in terms of the magical beauty of your sweet, sweet words. We learned that several podcast episodes ago. Um, you know, is this sort of your methodology also when you have these clients that are perceptibly negative?
Well,
What's your strategy? How have you dealt with this in the past? The people want to know.
thank you for asking, because I actually love this question, because there's this um there's this thing that it's pretty much how I operate in life, but it's also pretty cool because it's, for example, the way that Girls Gone Strong as an organization is set up. Like, we all of us people who work in that organization, we all operate from mind frame of assumed benevolence. That's what it's called. It's like you just assume
Mhm.
that whoever is coming at you, wording things however, it's not about, it's assume benevolence. Like, they're frustrated and they're getting out of frustration. It's not against me. It's not personal. It's not an attack. So once you see things with that lens, it's so easy to reply in a way that is actually conducive to finding solutions and to them totally changing their tone. Because when somebody is confrontational and they are met with super welcoming, genuine curiosity, wanting to understand them better, to help them, and all this kind of stuff, they totally change the way that they interact with you. And so that's pretty magical. And that's kind of
Mhm.
like a life hack in general. Like, if you just go through life assuming that people, whatever it is they're doing, if you're assuming benevolence, then your entire life experience changes, basically.
That makes sense. Anything else here to add to that, Amber? Um, I think we've got a great insight as to sort of that list of differentiation in what we perceive as a negative client. Great insight as to sort of what tools we can open from the toolkit to deal with these situations. Anything else that you can think of, topically here, to help the people? We've got 4.5 minutes, maybe 3.5.
Yeah, I would just say that, you're not going to nail it every time, right? Coaching people, a lot of it is trial and error, and every person is different. And so what works for person A may not work as well for person B. So if you have a coaching opportunity and it doesn't go quite to plan, that's okay. Keep practicing, get the reps in, and eventually it'll just start coming more naturally and you won't have to think about it so hard. But keep trying to help them, through those thought patterns, and then it'll not just help them, but it'll help you too.
That makes sense. Reading lists, guys. Amber suggested a great tool, motivational interviewing. Great book. Deep into psychology. There's sort of a companion you can look up for motivational interviewing for fitness and nutrition, maybe a little bit more targeted in this case. I highly suggest Crucial Conversations as well.
Good, that
Really good book in
that's the one
terms
I
of
was
having a
thinking. Yep.
conversation. Yeah,
Mhm.
with a client, like just really good. I have a tendency to listen to audiobooks during my workouts. So that's when I have dedicated time for my ears, at least. So I would suggest those. And in general, Keto spoke to, the, what did you say, implied benevolence? How did you phrase it, Keto?
Assumed benevolence.
Assumed benevolence, which is something that Jonathan speaks about on the podcast regularly. Just the thought process, the thought pattern that people are probably good, is sort of how Jonathan addresses things. Much more likely to trust what a person is saying, and that they're probably good. And for coaches out there that don't have a lot of life experience, and I don't separate by age typically or life experience, but this is a situation where it could be a little bit more difficult for a younger coach, because everybody is the way that they is for some reason. Like, very rarely that people are just inherently mean or inherently, sort of angry or biting. Like, everybody's got some total of life experiences that has led them to navigate through life in the way that they do for the purpose of protection. If you can honor that, typically they will start to dialogue with you about what they're protecting themselves from. And the guard comes down, and you can get to the you can get to the meat of the situation. So, um, and also realize, coaches, that some people have just never been listened to. You'd be amazed how many people have just never had anybody ever listen to them, or just simply ask them, "Hey, I noticed that you do this. Is there a particular reason why? Tell me why you feel that way." Like, literally, nobody's ever asked them this question. So
Yeah.
you attract more goodness into your coaching practice by holding space for people. The esteemed ladies who have names, for you podcast reviewers out there. One is named Amber, the other is Catalina. We can drop the pronouns going forward on the podcast, and I'm willing to challenge the reviewers that you're not allowed to mention them unless you know their names. I'm going to write you an angry letter from here on out. If you submit a review that says the girls, especially the girls, that says those ladies,
The female
please,
was the worst
please,
one.
yeah, please don't say the female, because we immediately think the female what? Um,
As if they called us out on not letting them talk enough and referred to them as the women.
we we can do better, internet. We want to do better. I'm Ren Jones, and I approve this message. So so once again, here on the podcast, we solved all your life issues within 50 minutes, and we actually allowed the ladies to help solve your life issues today.
Yeah,
So
female 1 and female 2
yes,
spoke
right, right.
beautifully.
Gold star for the progressives here on the podcast
Was a
today.
great job
Oh
by
God.
Amber Reynolds and Carolina Belmars.
Carolina, Carolina on my mind. We got Carolina blue skies here today, uh, which doesn't make sense. So we'll see you guys next time. As always, it's been our distinct pleasure
It has.
serving you here on the Online Trainer Show. Show notes and other information can be found at onlinetrainer.com/podcast.
Nailed it.
Mastered that after 55
Nailed
plus
it.
shows, twice a week for several months. Uh, and and leave us a review. Leave us a review, and with the caveat that if you're talking about Catalina or Amber, you use their names, Catalina, and don't say Catalina or Amber. Say one of them definitively or both. One of those days. And the OTA students will work on you guys so you can differentiate between Amber and K. All right. There's so much work to be done. So much work to be done here, gentlemen. So much coaching yet to happen. We'll see you guys next time on the Online Trainer Show. Jingle, jingle, jingle. This is the Online Trainer Show. Trainer Show. Trainer Show. This is the Online Trainer Show. We shouldn't have a podcast.